Hey there, it's Zach from Engadget, and we are here with the Samsung NX200. Now, this is Samsung's latest mirrorless ILC, interchangeable lens camera, and as you can see, it's quite compact. So it's on par size-wise with other compact mirrorless interchangeable lens cameras that we've seen. And it has a familiar layout. If you've used the other NX series cameras like the NX100, this should feel pretty familiar to you. But I'll give you a brief walk around of the camera. So it comes in a kit with this 18 to 55 millimeter optically image stabilized lens for $7.99. We'll pop that lens off there. Now the lens itself has this function button on the side, and by pressing this button you can launch a sub-function menu which allows you to adjust some settings like aperture, shutter speed very easily on the camera. So you'd press this button and then you'll have an option on the camera. We have an autofocus, manual focus position switch right there, and then we have a typical turn zoom design here. So there's no automatic zoom, you have to turn the lens to zoom here. And then we have a focus ring up front as well. Now moving over to the camera, this has an APS-C size sensor. So you can see the sensor right there. It's quite large, and this sensor size is on par with the Sony NEX-C3, which is actually the camera that I'm using to shoot this video right now. And the lens mount, if you can see, kind of juts out a bit beyond the front of the camera, which is a bit bizarre. We don't really see lens mounts coming out this far beyond the front, but it is flush, mostly flush, with this grip right over here. So you can lie the camera straight down like that, and it'll lie flush. Of course, you'll be using it with a lens, so it's not really a big issue. And then over here we have a lens release button. This is for connecting a shoulder strap. Then on the back of the camera, now we have a 3-inch AMOLED display here. So it's really a gorgeous display. It looks fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some images right there. And colors are accurate. Really what you see is what you get here. So it's really a great display. And it's definitely one of the strengths of the camera. You can also zoom in up to 14 times right there. So as you can see, this image was shot at a higher ISO setting. We can actually, once we zoom out, go back to playback. Once we zoom out here, we can go ahead and hit display, and that'll show us the focal length there. We see over here ISO. We shot it at ISO 1600. So as you saw, there's a bit of noise there. But overall, a great LCD. It's very easy to verify focus after you shoot an image, and we have a histogram as well in playback. Then over here we have a dedicated record button. So this records video, 1080p video, or you can choose 720p. We have an image exposure compensation button rather, menu button here, and I'll walk you through the menu in a minute. Then we have a wheel here for navigating. You can navigate through menus, you can navigate in playback mode as well. We have display, autofocus, ISO, and then your shooting speed button right there. So you can do the time delay, you can do up to 7 frames per second, and then we have an OK selector right there in the center. Playback, trash button right down there, and a function button here as well. And the function button lets you bring up some often used settings like brightness, contrast. We can change the image size. Now we're in playback mode here, so we can actually scale down the image in playback if you want. If you're in shooting mode, you can hit function, and then you get some additional settings like the ISO adjustment, exposure compensation. You can also choose the photo size right here as well. Then going over to the side, we have a little, it's a very solid feeling plastic panel there. And then behind that door, we have an HDMI and USB, micro USB connector. Going to the bottom, we have our battery door with a battery, of course. We didn't turn off the camera. You definitely want to turn off the camera before popping out the battery. This is a 1030 milliamp hour battery. And then we have the SD card slot is right up here. So I'm going to pop that back in, and we'll toss the battery back in as well. And going up to the top, we have a dedicated mode dial here with auto, program, aperture priority, shutter priority, manual. This is an intelligent auto mode. Magic mode, it doesn't actually work any magic. You can just add some photo frames to we have magic frame and smart filter, so there's some filters as well, but magic frame is a bit bizarre. You can choose these frames here, and then the image that you're shooting will show up in here. I'm going to pop the lens back on so we can actually see what we're working with. So I'm going to have this little Engadget pin right there, and as you can see in this magic mode, whatever you have, this is actually a portrait magic mode, but whatever your subject is will be framed by these smart frames here. Okay, and then we have a dedicated panorama mode as well, and there are scene modes. In scene modes we can choose 3D, beauty shot, a night mode, landscape, portrait, children, sports, close-up, text, sunset, dawn, backlight, fireworks, beach and snow, sound picture, which captures a picture with audio, and then back over to 3D. So you have quite a few options here. And then we have a movie mode. There's a dedicated movie mode, although you can actually launch the video record mode from most of the other modes. So if we're in aperture priority, for example, and you want to record a video, I'll go over there right now. You can go ahead and just hit that button and you are recording video. So right now we're set at 720p. If you want to record 1080p video, you can do that as well. Alright, and we will go ahead and stop that. You can't shoot stills while recording video. When you press the button here, it'll actually stop your video, and then you can shoot a still. And as far as the physical design of the camera, that's it. Up top we have left and right microphones. There's a speaker here and a zoom dial there, shutter release, power button, and then if you look up top here, we actually have a full-size hot shoe. So this is something that we don't always get on these mirrorless cameras. It's definitely nice to have. There's no built-in flash, and so this is where you'll actually attach the included flash. It's an external flash, so you'll probably end up not using it most of the time just because you won't have it with you. But it is an option, and it does come in the box. So again, this is the Samsung NX200. It is available now for $7.99 with this 18 to 55mm lens.